All right, so welcome back, everybody. Welcome to day 3 or video 3 of Text Week. I noticed that my thumbnail had the words text functions, and I guess that's slightly inaccurate because I'm not going to go through functions every day. I thought I'd also share that we're now on version 4. It is quite incredible how you can stare at things so many times and not spot certain typos. So keep them coming in if you find them. It all helps. Today, I'm going to quickly showcase text to columns and flash fill. And I guess these maybe are slightly less commonly used in battles, but it feels a little bit like I'm missing a trick if I don't at least mention them as part of a week dedicated to manipulating and wrangling text strings. So both of these features are on the data ribbon. They're basically next to each other. And I thought I'd turn firstly to the example that we've been looking at for a few days. So we had this data set with a bunch of quite badly formatted texts for dates, and we wanted to extract the day reference at the end of that string. Well, one thing we could do is we could go to text to columns. And I always think it's interesting just pausing with certain features, or to be honest, even all features on the ribbon. Just pausing at times and actually just looking at what you've got. I know I was guilty of this for years in Excel. There were so many buttons on the ribbon that I'd never even really kind of taken in and thought about what they did. So I'm going to just try and do that a little bit pedantically with text to columns and flash fill. Have a look at what you've got on the first of 3 steps within the text to columns wizard. So the first step is giving you a couple of options. We could actually split these text strings by a fixed width if we wanted to. Now, we probably don't want to, but for example, remember when we were using left before on day 1? Well, I could actually just come in here and I could kind of manually say, all right, split this by the 5th character in all of the text sequences. But typically, I don't think people use text to columns for that. I think they use them for the delimiter function. So we'll click on delimited, click on next. This takes us to step 2 of the wizard. And this is where we can choose the delimiters that we split this set of text strings up across multiple columns. And a little bit like we did with the curly brackets yesterday, I think it was with text split, you can actually pick multiple delimiters to split the text, and it'll count them as sort of, split by this delimiter or that delimiter. But actually, in this instance, what are we looking for? We're looking for a hyphen. So, I did leave an example in. This is good. So we want the hyphen, but what I did was I just manually changed one of the characters in the first row to a semicolon, just to show you this multiple delimiters feature. So you can have multiple ticks here. I've manually typed in other and the hyphen for one delimiter, but I could also put the semicolon in it. And look, it's giving me a preview, so you can see at the moment it's not aligning because I've got that semicolon in the first line. But if I were to click semicolon as well, it's going to look for either the hyphen or the semicolon and then split it by column. It's giving you the preview. We could go to next. This is now giving us the option to say, actually, by column, what would you like the format of the data to be returned in? And you can choose to actually move the destination. So if you leave that by default, it's going to overwrite the column with the data in it, or the cells with the data in it. But you could change that so that you keep the original source, and then you've got the kind of delimited data next to it. So let me just show you this. So let's hit, shall I overwrite it? Yes, let's hit finish. There you go. So that's gonna split the text. This, for some reason, has decided it's going to format itself as a date, which I don't want. So let's just put general. There we go. So I need to do a bit of formatting work, but there you go. That's the original text split into 3 columns. And there's the answer. That's what we wanted before. We wanted the day reference at the end. We could do the same for John Smith and Jane West and so on and so forth. We could split by space, and then we'd have to do some work to concatenate it. There's a couple of other features in text to columns that I don't think you'll use very often, but I'll show you them because they're there. And they're to do with date and number formats. So as an example, I'm in the UK. Let's say I had some imported dates, but they were imported in US format with month, day, year. Well, there's a way that we can go from that kind of date format that I don't want to the date format that I do want. So text to columns, delimit, turn off all the delimiters. We're not interested in actually splitting the text. We're just looking to convert it. And what I can say here is, it feels a little bit counterintuitive actually, but I want you to kind of recognize these fields of data in month, day, year format. Just hit finish and it's going to change it. So I think what it's doing, and somebody might know the technicalities better than I do, but it's then assessing the data as US date format, but because my Excel is set to UK date formatting, it's instantly converting it back to UK with day, month, year. And similarly with numbers, here are some numbers that are US numbers. They've got a dot, what's the word? I can't think of it. A decimal place. There you go, a decimal place where we would have a comma. So really this should be 21,000, but it's showing up as 21.945. This should be 6,006,945, but it's showing as 6.6945, and so on and so forth. So you could use text to columns for the same thing. You could go in, delimit, leave all of the delimiters off. We're not interested in splitting the text up into multiple columns. Go into advanced and right, let me make sure I do this right. So actually what we want it to recognize the settings in those cells as the US settings. So decimal separator, comma, thousand separator, a full stop, decimal place. Hit finish, and there you go. Look, it's converted those numbers into essentially the right numbers. So they were in US format in thousands. Now they're in UK format in thousands. So there you go, text to columns. And then flash fill. Think of everything that we did before trying to extract third, ninth. We ended up with quite a nice solution with text after, finding the last hyphen and extracting the text afterwards. I'll be honest with you, there's an easier way, because you could just go to the column next to it, type in third, go to data, hit flash fill, and it's going to do all the work for you. Same here. What were we trying to do in this second example? We were trying to find John Smith. So what did we do before? We used text before, find the first hyphen. You could just type in the first one, hit flash fill, and it's going to give you all the answers for you. So there you go, text to columns, flash fill. Don't forget they're there. I know we've got all these new fancy formulas, but some of the kind of older features are still pretty powerful. See you tomorrow.